The airlock screamed as it buckled inward. Lieutenant Kyle Brennan slammed his fist against the emergency seal, but the metal groaned like a dying animal. 30 seconds until hull breach. Maybe less. Move! He shouted, grabbing the alien diplomat by her crystalline arm. She didn't resist. She didn't do anything. Her silver eyes stared straight ahead, empty as the void beyond the failing door. The station shuddered. Debris from the destroyed freighter hammered the outer shell. This whole sector was coming apart. "Commander, we're not gonna make it to the pods," Corporal Lisa Grant yelled through the static-filled comm. "Fires blocking Corridor 9. Kyle yanked the alien princess. That's what the others called her. Princess Valora of the Ashanti Dominion toward the maintenance shaft. Her pale blue skin seemed to glow faintly in the emergency lights. She moved like a ghost. No fear, no urgency, nothing. "Can you run?" he asked. She blinked once. Slowly. "It does not matter." "The hell it doesn't." He pulled harder. Her people had started this war. Ashanti warships had glassed 4 human colonies in 3 months, but she'd been aboard a neutral station when the retaliation strike hit. Treaties said she got protection. Kyle's orders said the same. The shaft ladder rattled under their weight. Below them, oxygen vents hissed poison into the air. Above, the ceiling plates began to peel away like paper. "Brennan." The main reactor just spiked. Grant's voice crackled. "We got maybe 2 minutes before this whole platform cooks us." Valora's fingers brushed the ladder rung. She stopped climbing. "Keep moving," Kyle growled. "Why?" Her voice carried no emotion, no accent, perfect cold English. "Your kind dies. My kind dies. The stars do not care which." An explosion rocked the shaft. Kyle's grip slipped. He caught himself on a crossbeam, boots dangling over a 50-foot drop into flames. Valora didn't even flinch. He pulled himself up, chest heaving. "You want to die? Fine. But I'm not leaving you here." "You should." She tilted her head. "I am your enemy. You are a person on a burning station. That's all that matters right now." Something flickered in those silver eyes, just for a second. Then it vanished. The ladder above them snapped free from its moorings. Kyle grabbed Valora and jumped sideways into a service corridor as metal rained down where they'd stood. They hit the deck hard. His shoulders screamed. Her breath came out in a sharp gasp, the first real sound he'd heard her make. "Escape pods through there," he said, pointing at a blast door. 30 yards. "Can you make it?" She stared at him, really looked at him for the first time. Then the lights went out completely. And in the darkness, he heard something impossible. The alien princess was crying. The emergency batteries kicked in. Red light bathed the corridor in blood. Kyle saw her face. Tears rolled down Valora's cheeks. Not water, but something luminescent that traced silver lines against her blue skin. She touched her face like she'd forgotten what crying felt like. "I cannot," she whispered. "I cannot do this anymore." The floor tilted, gravity fluctuators failing. They had seconds. Do what? Kyle pulled her to her feet. The blast door was 15 yards away now, close enough to see the pod access panel blinking green. "Pretend," her voice cracked. "Pretend that I do not care. Pretend that watching worlds burn does not tear me apart. Pretend that I am what they made me to be." Another explosion, closer this time. The walls buckled. Kyle didn't have time for this. Didn't have time for her breakdown or her guilt or whatever this was. But he stopped anyway. Looked at her. Really looked. "Then stop pretending," he said, "and run." Something changed in her eyes. A light switching on after years of darkness. They ran. The corridor twisted. Flames licked through the ventilation grates. Kyle's lungs burned. Valora kept pace beside him, her movement suddenly fluid, alive. She vaulted over fallen debris, ducked under sparking cables, moved like someone who'd remembered why survival mattered. The blast door loomed ahead, 10 yards. 5. A support beam crashed down between them and the exit. "No!" Grant's voice screamed through the comm. "Brennan, the reactor's going critical. You've got 30 seconds. Kyle grabbed the beam, tried to lift it. Immovable, his muscles strained. Useless. Valora placed her hands beside his. Her skin began to glow brighter, not just faintly, radiating actual light. Heat poured from her palms. "What are you doing?" Kyle asked. "Something I was forbidden to do." The metal under her hands started to soften, to melt. "My people have abilities your kind does not know about. We hide them. We are taught to hide everything." The beam sagged, bent. Valora's whole body shook with effort. The glow intensified until Kyle had to look away. With a shriek of tortured metal, the beam split in half. They dove through the gap. The blast door's panel flashed under Kyle's hand. It opened. The escape pod sat in its cradle, lights green, ready. "Get in!" he shouted. Valora stumbled. Her glow had faded. She looked exhausted, drained. Kyle caught her, half carried her into the pod, slammed the hatch seal, hit the launch button. Nothing happened. "No, no, no!" He hit it again. The panel flickered. "Come on!" "Manual release," Valora said weakly. She pointed to a lever by the door. "Pull it." Kyle grabbed the lever. Through the small viewport, he could see the station's core beginning to rupture, white light building like a newborn star. He pulled. The pod exploded outward on compressed air. G-forces slammed them into the acceleration chairs. Through the spinning viewport, Kyle watched Station Meridian tear itself apart in a bloom of fire that would have been beautiful if it hadn't meant hundreds of deaths. The pod stabilizers kicked in. The spinning stopped. They floated in the black, surrounded by debris and scattered pods glinting like seeds scattered from a dying flower. Kyle's comm crackled. "Brennan, you out there?" "Grant." Relief flooded through him. "You make it?" "Barely." "Got 12 pods confirmed. Rescue ships are inbound. 20 minutes." A pause. "You got the princess?" Kyle looked at Valora. She sat in the chair beside him, tears still streaming down her face. But her eyes were open now, aware, present. "Yeah," he said. "I got her." Grant's voice dropped low. "Command's gonna want her interrogated." "Probably tried. You know that, right? Enemy royalty during wartime." Kyle did know. He'd known it the moment he'd pulled her from that corridor. Valora met his gaze. She'd heard every word. "You should have left me," she said quietly. "It would have been easier for you." "Probably," Kyle admitted. "Why didn't you?" He thought about that, about the orders he'd followed and the ones he'd ignored, about the line between enemy and person, about the sound of her crying in the dark. "Because someone had to break the silence," he said finally. "Might as well be me." Outside, human rescue ships began to appear, sleek military vessels with weapons hot, coming to collect their own, coming to collect her. Valora's hands trembled, but she didn't look away. "What happens now?" she asked. Kyle didn't have an answer, not one that would help. But before he could speak, the pod's proximity alarm shrieked. Something massive had just dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Something that wasn't human. The Ashanti warship materialized like a predator from deep water. Kyle's breath caught. The vessel stretched across the viewport, 3 miles of organic curves and bioluminescent weapons arrays. Nothing like human ships. This thing looked grown, not built, alive in ways that made his skin crawl. "That's the Eternal Dirge," Valora whispered. "My father's flagship. The comm exploded with chatter. Human rescue ships scattered, engines flaring. Grant's voice cut through the chaos. All pods, emergency burn to Rally Point Delta. Military assets are engaging. Negative, another voice barked. Commander Patricia Valdez, do not engage. Repeat, do not engage. We're outnumbered and outgunned. Kyle watched human destroyers take defensive positions. Brave, stupid. The eternal dirge could vaporize them all without breaking stride. They came for me, Valora said. Her voice had gone flat again. Empty. They always come. Your father? My father does not tolerate loss. I am property of the Dominion. Property does not get left behind. A lance of purple energy streaked from the Ashanti ship. It passed between two human destroyers, close enough to make them veer off. A warning shot. Then a voice boomed across every frequency, deep, resonant, translated through some technology that made Kyle's teeth ache. Return Princess Valora immediately. This is not negotiable. Commander Valdez responded, her voice steady. She's under protective custody as a diplomatic envoy. We will transport her safely to... You have 10 seconds to comply. The Eternal Dirge's weapons lit up like dying suns. Kyle looked at Valora. She sat perfectly still. Tears dried on her face. Waiting, always waiting. What do you want to do? He asked. She blinked. What? You heard me. What do you want? That does not matter. It matters to me. Something in her face shifted. Confusion. Then something else. Something that might have been hope if hope hadn't been beaten out of her years ago. I want, she started, then stopped. Tried again. I want to not go back. Kyle hit the comm button. Commander Valdez, this is Lieutenant Brennan. I've got the princess in Pod 7 Alpha. Brennan, thank God. Prepare for immediate transfer to... She's requesting asylum. Silence. Then Valdez's voice, sharp as broken glass. Say again? Political asylum. She doesn't want to return to the Ashanti Dominion. The comm erupted, voices shouting over each other, legal concerns, protocol violations, acts of war. Valora grabbed Kyle's arm. You cannot do this. They will kill you. They will kill everyone here. Maybe. Kyle kept his eyes on the Ashanti warship. But you said you wanted to stop pretending, so stop. Tell them. Her hand trembled on his arm. I have never defied them. Not once. Not in 23 cycles. First time for everything. The 10-second deadline passed. The Eternal Dirge fired. Not at the human ships, at the debris field. But demonstration. Chunks of Station Meridian vaporized in purple fire. The shockwave rocked Kyle's pod. Final warning, the voice boomed. Return the princess or we begin executing escape pods, starting with the nearest one. A targeting beam painted Pod 4 Charlie. Kyle could see faces through its viewport. Civilian engineers. A woman pressing her hands against the glass. No, Valora breathed. Princess Valora. The voice continued. Make yourself known. Your silence condemns them. She reached for the comm. Kyle caught her hand. Don't, he said. They will die because of me. They'll die because your father's a tyrant. That's not on you. You do not understand. Ashanti psychology. Our culture, obedience is survival. Defiance is death. I was taught this before I could speak. Then unlearn it. The targeting beam intensified. The civilian pod began transmitting, screaming, begging. Valora's whole body shook. Decades of conditioning warring with one moment of choice. I am a coward, she said. You melted through solid steel to save us both. That's not cowardice. Then what is it? It's called giving a damn. Now show them what that looks like. Valora stared at him, then at the civilian pod, then at the Ashanti warship that had controlled her entire life. She opened the comm channel. Father. Her voice rang clear. No tremor, no hesitation. I am Princess Valora, heir to the Ashanti Dominion, and I am formally requesting political asylum from the Human Coalition. The silence that followed could have swallowed stars. Then her father's voice returned, colder than the void. You understand what you have done. Yes, you cannot take it back. I know. Then you are no longer my daughter. You are no longer Ashanti. You are nothing. Something broke in Valora's expression, but she didn't flinch, didn't look away from the warship. Better nothing than what you made me, she said. The targeting beam switched from the civilian pod to Pod 7 Alpha. To them. Kyle's hand moved to the emergency thruster controls. Useless. They couldn't outrun a targeting lock, but before the Eternal Dirge could fire, 12 human warships dropped out of FTL directly between the pods and the Ashanti vessel. Fresh reinforcements, and leading them, a dreadnought that made the destroyers look like toys. Commander Valdez's voice came through different now. Backed by firepower, Ashanti vessel, you are in violation of the Tycho Accords. Fire on these pods, and we will consider it an act of war against Earth Alliance. You would start a war over one defector? We would start a war over one person asking for help. That's what separates us from you. Kyle felt Valora's hand find his in the dark. The Eternal Dirge's weapons powered down, but her father's final words echoed across every channel. This is not over, daughter. The Dominion does not forget, and we do not forgive. The massive warship began to pull away, retreating into FTL. Valora didn't watch it go. She was looking at Kyle. What have I done? She whispered. Something brave, he said. Something real. They will hunt me forever. Probably. And you. They will hunt you too now. For helping me. Kyle shrugged. Wouldn't be the first time someone wanted me dead. The human dreadnought moved into position. Recovery ships launched. The crisis was over. But as the rescue crew began collecting the escape pods, Kyle knew the truth. This wasn't an ending. It was the beginning of something much bigger. And neither of them were ready for what came next. The interrogation room smelled like recycled air and suspicion. Kyle sat outside the observation window, watching 3 intelligence officers circle Valora like sharks. She'd been in there for 6 hours. They'd separated them the moment the rescue ship docked at Firebase Orion. You shouldn't be here, Lieutenant. Captain Frank Cortez dropped into the chair beside him. She's not your responsibility anymore. Didn't realize there was a time limit on giving a damn, Cortez grunted. Intel thinks she's a plant, a Dominion spy playing the sympathy angle. Through the glass, Valora sat perfectly still, hands folded, eyes forward, back to that empty expression she'd worn on the dying station. Like someone had flipped a switch and turned off the person Kyle had seen crying in the dark. She saved my life, Kyle said. Or she's a very good actress. Cortez pulled up a holographic display. Princess Valora, 3rd heir to the Ashanti throne, military strategist. Present at 4 major fleet engagements against human forces, including the one that glassed New Sarajevo. Kyle's jaw tightened. New Sarajevo. 70,000 dead. He'd lost friends there. She was there? He asked quietly. On her father's flagship. Observers say she helped coordinate the bombardment. Cortez swiped through images. Burning cities. Evacuation ships cut down mid-flight. Still think she's worth protecting? Kyle watched Valora through the glass. One of the interrogators slammed his hands on the table. She didn't flinch. Didn't react at all. I think people can change, Kyle said. In 6 hours? Between stations? In one moment, if it's the right moment. Cortez shook his head. You're a good soldier, Brennan, but you're thinking with your heart instead of your head. That gets people killed. The interrogation room door opened. The officers filed out, looking frustrated. The lead investigator, a woman named Colonel Harper, spotted Kyle through the window. She's asking for you, Harper said. Me won't talk to anyone else. Just keeps requesting Lieutenant Kyle Brennan by name. Harper's expression was unreadable. I'm allowing 5 minutes. Supervised. Don't make me regret it. Kyle entered the room. Valora's head snapped up. For a second that empty mask cracked. Relief flooded her features. Then it vanished. Back to stone. They think I am lying, she said. Are you? Would you believe me if I said no? Kyle pulled out the chair across from her, sat down. Try me. Valora's fingers traced patterns on the metal table. I was at New Sarajevo. I did help coordinate fleet movements. Everything they said is true. That's not a great start. But I did not want to be there. I did not want any of it. Her voice dropped. Do you know what happens to Ashanti royalty who refuse orders? Who show weakness, who cry? Tell me. They are sent to the Reformation chambers, locked in sensory isolation until their minds break, until they become compliant, obedient, until there is nothing left but function. She looked up at him. I was sent there 4 times before I learned to stop feeling, before I became what they needed. Kyle's stomach turned. How old were you? The first time? 6 cycles. Your equivalent of 8 years old. Silence settled between them. On the other side of the glass, Kyle could feel the observers watching, judging. Why ask for asylum now, he asked. Why not years ago? Because no one ever asked me what I wanted before. Her silver eyes met his. You were the first person in my entire life who treated me like my choice mattered, who saw me as more than a tool or a title. That's not. It is everything. Her hand moved across the table, stopped just short of his. In that corridor, when you could have left me, when you should have left me, you stayed. You broke protocol for someone you had every reason to hate. And for the first time, I remembered what it felt like to be seen as a person. The door opened. Harper stepped in. Time's up, Lieutenant. Kyle didn't move. She's telling the truth. That's not your call to make. Then whose call is it? Because from where I'm sitting, we've got someone who just burned every bridge she had to ask us for help, and our response is to treat her like a prisoner. She is a prisoner, Harper said flatly. Enemy combatant, regardless of asylum request. Standard wartime protocol. Valora stood. Lieutenant Brennan, it is all right. I knew this would happen. It's not all right. I chose this. I chose defiance, knowing the cost. She smiled. Sad but genuine. That choice was mine. They cannot take that from me. Guards entered, started to escort her out. Wait, Kyle said. Where are you taking her? Holding facility. Level 6. She'll be safe there until command decides her status. Safe. Right. Kyle watched them lead her away. She didn't look back. Cortez appeared in the doorway. Brennan, you're wanted in the briefing room now. The briefing room was packed. Senior officers, intelligence analysts. And on the main screen, a live feed from Earth Alliance Command. Admiral Chen's face filled the display. Lieutenant Brennan, we've reviewed your report on the Station Meridian incident. Yes, sir. Your actions were unconventional, potentially catastrophic from a diplomatic standpoint. Chen paused. They were also exactly what the situation required. You're being commended for valor under fire. Kyle blinked. Sir, I just did what needed doing. Yes. which is why we're assigning you to a new detail. Chen's expression hardened. Princess Valora has requested you as her liaison officer during the asylum process. Normally we'd refuse, but given the delicate nature of this situation, Command believes having someone she trusts might yield valuable intelligence. Intelligence. The word tasted wrong. You want me to spy on her? We want you to help her acclimate, to answer questions, to build rapport. Chen leaned forward. And yes, Lieutenant, to gather any information that might help us understand Ashanti fleet movements, strategic objectives, and technological capabilities. She's a military asset whether she wants to be or not. Kyle's hands clenched. She's a person asking for asylum. She's both. Welcome to wartime, Lieutenant Ann. Nothing is simple. The connection ended. Cortez put a hand on Kyle's shoulder. Could be worse. You could be back on patrol duty dodging Ashanti raiders. Yeah, Kyle said quietly. Could be worse. But as he headed to the holding facility, something gnawed at him. Valora had defied her entire civilization for one moment of choice, one chance to be something other than what they'd made her. And Earth Alliance's response was to make her into a different kind of tool. He found her in a cell barely big enough to turn around in. No windows, one light, a thin cot bolted to the wall. She sat on the floor, knees pulled to her chest, not crying, not moving, just existing in the smallest space possible, like she'd been taught to disappear. Kyle made a decision that would probably end his career. He opened the cell door. Come on, he said. You're not staying here? Valora looked up. What are you doing? Something stupid. Probably treasonous. Definitely against regulations. He held out his hand. But I didn't save you from one prison just to watch you rot in another. She stared at his hand, then took it. And somewhere in the station's security center, alarms began to scream. The security alerts shrieked through every corridor. Kyle pulled Valora through the maintenance access tunnel, her hand locked in his. Behind them, boots hammered against metal grating. Shouts echoed off the walls. Where are we going? Valora asked, keeping pace. Honestly, making this up as I go. That is not reassuring. Yeah, well, welcome to humanity. We specialize in terrible plans that somehow work. Kyle's calm buzzed. He ignored it. It buzzed again. Then Cortez's voice cut through, sharp and urgent. Brennan, what the hell are you doing? Stand down now and we can call this a misunderstanding. Can't do that, Captain. You're throwing away your career, your life. For what? An enemy alien who you've known for less than a day? Kyle glanced at Valora. Her silver eyes were wide, but she wasn't fighting him, wasn't questioning, just trusting. For doing the right thing, Kyle said. Something I should have done from the start instead of playing their game.
He cut the connection.
The tunnel branched. Kyle pulled them left toward the civilian sectors. Less security, more crowds, better chance of disappearing. They will hunt us, Valora said. Your own people will hunt us now. I know. You are sacrificing everything. Not everything. Just the parts that don't matter. They burst into the market district. Hundreds of people milling around vendor stalls. Soldiers on leave, civilian contractors, families. Kyle pulled off his uniform jacket, tossed it into a recycling chute, grabbed a worker's coverall from an unmanned supply cart. Put this on, he said, handing Valora a maintenance jumpsuit. Cover your skin. Keep your head down. She changed quickly, no modesty. Her blue skin disappeared under gray fabric, but her eyes still glowed faintly, too distinctive. The light, Kyle said. Can you dim it? Yes, but it takes concentration, and it hurts. Enough. But she closed her eyes. The glow faded. When she opened them again, they looked almost human. Almost. Kyle's calm buzzed again. different frequency. He hesitated, then answered. Grant's voice came through, low and urgent. Brennan, you crazy bastard! Every MP on this station is looking for you. I know. Commands labeled her a flight risk. They're authorizing lethal force if she resists. Kyle's blood went cold. She's not resisting. She's not even armed. Doesn't matter. Orders are orders. Grant paused. But maybe someone forgot to lock down docking bay 12. And maybe there's a shuttle there with a full tank and no flight plan logged. Hypothetically. Lisa, I didn't hear anything on this channel, and my patrol route is taking me far away from docking bay 12 for the next 20 minutes. Hypothetically. The connection cut. Ballora grabbed Kyle's arm. Your friend is risking herself for us. That's what friends do. Why? She does not know me. I am nothing to her. You're someone who needs help. For some people, that's enough. They moved through the crowd. 2 MPs passed within feet, scanning faces. Kyle kept his head down, one arm around Vallora's shoulders like they were just another couple browsing the stalls. The MPs kept walking. Docking bay 12 loomed ahead. The entrance was unguarded, too convenient. Kyle's instincts screamed trap, but they were out of options. Inside, a small courier shuttle sat ready. Lights green, hatch open, like someone had prepared it just for them. This is wrong, Ballora said. Too easy. I know. Then why? Because easy or not, it's the only shot we've got. They ran for the shuttle. Kyle's hands flew over the pre-flight controls. Engines hummed to life. The hatch began to close, and Colonel Harper stepped through it. Kyle's hand went to his sidearm. Harper raised hers faster. Don't, she said. I'm actually a decent shot. Ballora stepped between them. Please. He was only helping me. Punish me, not him. Harper's expression didn't change. Sit down, both of you. Kyle didn't move. If you're here to arrest us, I'm here to tell you you're idiots. Harper lowered her weapon, but you're idiots with terrible timing, because about 5 minutes ago, Ashanti forces hit 3 border stations simultaneously. Coordinated strikes. Hundreds dead. No, Ballora breathed. Your father's sending a message about what happens when the Dominion loses property. Harper pulled up a tactical display. Burning stations. Casualty reports scrolling too fast to read. Earth Alliance is mobilizing for full-scale war, and Command wants a scapegoat. Someone to blame for escalating tensions. The princess, Kyle said. Exactly. They're going to parade her as proof the Ashanti can't be trusted. Use her as a propaganda tool. Then, when she's no longer useful, she disappears into a black site facility. Harper met Vallora's eyes. You'd spend the rest of your life in a cell, being interrogated until you broke, until you gave them everything, until you became exactly what they think you are. Why are you telling us this? Kyle asked. Because I've been doing this job for 20 years. I've seen what happens when we become the monsters we're fighting. Harper gestured to the shuttle. This ship's registered as a diplomatic courier, neutral territory. It'll get you past our blockade. After that, you're on your own. You're letting us go? I'm making a choice. Same as you did. Harper headed for the hatch. You've got maybe 10 minutes before someone notices I'm not where I'm supposed to be. Use them. Colonel, Ballora said. Thank you. Harper paused. Don't thank me. Just prove me right. Prove you're worth the risk. She left, the hatch sealed. Kyle hit the launch sequence. The shuttle lifted, cleared the bay doors, accelerated into open space. Behind them, Firebase Orion bristled with weapons and warships. Ahead, only the black and the unknown. Where do we go? Ballora asked quietly. Kyle pulled up star charts. Neutral zones, independent colonies, places where neither human nor Ashanti law reached. There's a settlement on Kepler 442b. Human colonists who left Earth before the war. They don't recognize either government's authority. They will not welcome an Ashanti. Maybe not, but it's a start. Kyle set the course. The shuttle's FTL drive began to charge. We figure out the rest as we go. Valora looked out at the stars. I have never been free before, never chosen my own path. How's it feel? Terrifying. She smiled, actually smiled. And wonderful. The FTL drive engaged. Space twisted. Firebase Orion vanished behind them, but as the stars blurred past, Kyle's tactical display lit up with a new alert. Ashanti ships, dozens of them, dropping out of FTL directly in their path. And leading them, unmistakable even at this distance, was the eternal dirge. Valora's father had found them. The hunt had begun. The Ashanti fleet spread across the viewport like a disease. Kyle's hands flew over the controls. Hang on. The shuttle banked hard. G-forces slammed them into their seats. Purple energy lances cut through the space they'd occupied a second before. They are not trying to destroy us, Valora said, watching the pattern of fire. They are hurting us. Where? She pointed. A massive construct materialized ahead. Not a ship, something else. Geometric, pulsing with bioluminescence. A capture net. They will disable our engines and pull us in. Her voice stayed calm, too calm. My father wants me alive. For now? Kyle pushed the engines to maximum. The shuttle screamed in protest. Not happening. Lieutenant, there are 47 warships out there. We have one unarmed courier. Mathematics does not favor us. Then we change the equation. He dove toward the nearest asteroid field. Rocks the size of cities tumbled through space. The shuttle weaved between them, scraping metal against stone. Ashanti ships followed, more cautious, their larger frames struggling with the tight spaces. You are delaying the inevitable, Valora said, but she was gripping her seat, leaning into the turns, still fighting. Delaying's a start. A massive asteroid loomed dead ahead. Kyle didn't veer. He accelerated. What are you doing? Valora shouted. Something stupid. He fired the shuttle's docking thrusters at full power. The ship spun wildly. They shot through a gap barely wider than their hull. The asteroid shielded them for 3 precious seconds. Kyle killed the engines. All of them. They went dark, drifting, silent running. He whispered. Old Navy trick. Maybe they'll lose us in the debris. They floated in absolute darkness. Through the viewport, Ashanti ships prowled past. Searching, scanning. Valora's hand found his in the dark. If they find us, they won't. But if they do, I want you to know what you did. Choosing to see me as a person, it mattered. It changed everything. Kyle squeezed her hand. We're not done yet. A targeting beam swept across their hull, passed on, came back, locked. The eternal dirge filled their viewport. Found you. Her father's voice boomed through every speaker. Clever daughter, but insufficient. The capture net deployed. Tendrils of energy wrapped around the shuttle like fingers. No! Kyle slammed the restart sequence. Engines sputtered, died. The Ashanti technology was draining their power. They were being pulled in. Valora stood, walked to the hatch controls. What are you doing? Kyle asked. Ending this? She opened the shuttle's external comm. Father, I will return willingly on one condition. You make demands? You who betrayed your blood. Let the human go. He was following orders. He is worth nothing to you. Kyle grabbed her shoulder. Don't you dare. She turned, smiled at him, sad and certain. You gave me one moment of choice, one moment of freedom. That is more than I ever had, more than I ever hoped for. Let me choose this. No. We fight together or not at all. There is no fight to win here, Kyle. Only surrender or death. And I will not let you die for me. The shuttle shuddered. They were nearly inside the Eternal Dirge's hangar. Kyle looked at Valora, really looked. At the princess who'd learned to hide her tears, who'd been broken and rebuilt into a weapon, who'd finally, for one brief moment, remembered how to be human, to be herself. There's a third option, he said quietly. What? Kyle pulled up every remaining power reserve, channeled it all into one system, the FTL drive. You can't, Valora breathed. Not at this range. Not inside a capture net. The dimensional shear would tear the ship apart. Probably. It would kill us both. Maybe. Kyle's finger hovered over the engage button. But maybe it wouldn't. And maybe dying free is better than living in chains. What do you think? Valora stared at him, then at the Eternal Dirge, then back. She put her hand over his on the control. I think, she said, that I would rather burn with someone who saw me as a person than live forever as property. Good enough for me. They pressed the button together. The universe screamed. Space folded wrong. The capture net shattered. The shuttle spun through dimensions it was never meant to touch. Reality became suggestion. Time became flexible. Kyle couldn't breathe, couldn't think, could only hold on to Valora's hand as everything came apart. And then silence. They were floating in open space. No Ashanti fleet. No Firebase Orion, just stars in the vast infinite dark. The shuttle's systems were fried, life support on emergency reserves. But they were alive, together. Where are we? Valoru whispered. Kyle checked their position, laughed, actually laughed. Somewhere between nowhere and somewhere else. Scanners are dead, but we're not in that system anymore. Did we escape? For now. They sat in the darkness, two people from different worlds who'd chosen each other over everything else. What happens next? Valora asked. I don't know. We drift until someone finds us or we find them. We make it to that colony. We start over. Kyle looked at her. We figure it out together. Together, she tested the word. I have never had it together before. Neither have I. Not really. Guess we'll learn. Outside, a small ship approached. Not military, not Ashanti, an independent trader, lights blinking a standard hail. Kyle opened the comm. This is Courier Shuttle 77 Alpha, requesting assistance. Copied that, 77 Alpha. You folks look like you've had a rough day. Need a tow? Yeah, we do. As the trader ship pulled alongside, Valora leaned against Kyle's shoulder. The first time she'd initiated contact. The first time she'd allowed herself to need someone. They will keep hunting us, she said quietly. My father, your command, both of our peoples. I know. We will always be running. Probably. And yet you do not regret this. Kyle thought about that. About the career he'd destroyed, the bridges he'd burned, the uncertain future ahead. He thought about a princess crying in the dark, about choosing to see a person instead of an enemy, about breaking silence when silence meant death. No, he said, I don't regret it at all. Valora smiled, not the sad smile from before, something new, something that looked like hope. The trader ship's airlock opened. A weathered woman peered in at them, raised an eyebrow at Valora's blue skin. You two running from something? She asked. Yes, they said together. She grinned. Good. I like runners. They always have the best stories. Come on, let's get you somewhere safe. Or at least safer. They stepped into the unknown. Two refugees from different worlds. Two people who'd chosen freedom over chains. Behind them, the war raged on. Fleets clashed, Worlds burned, politics and power played out on a galactic stage. But in that moment, in that small ship drifting between stars, Kyle and Valora had something neither fleet could claim. They had choice. They had each other. They had tomorrow. And sometimes that was enough to change everything.